Would you like to improve your social life? Would you like more friends, more connection, and a more interesting life? For many of us, the answer is, of course, yes. So, in this video, I'm going to give you some tips and advice on how you can build a better social life, build stronger, deeper connections with people, and live a life of more abundance. It seems that nowadays, even though people are more connected virtually, if anything, people are getting further and further apart and becoming more isolated in person, and a lot of people are feeling isolated and lonely. So this is an area which really needs to be healed, and people need to learn how to reconnect again and to live a life of more abundance and happiness and connection. So I want to give you some tips on how to improve your life socially, how to let go of beliefs which may be holding you back from the life that you would like to live, and to help you build more connection again. Now, first of all, let me just explain why this is a topic that's close to my heart. When I was a child in school, I wasn't particularly popular, and if anything, that is an understatement. I used to push people away, but at the same time really had a desire to be liked, and that was a huge conflict. I was craving people's attention, and at the same time I was pushing them away by having a defense mechanism that was protecting me, in that I couldn't be nice to people. I was unintentionally causing the issues in my own life and then getting upset that I wasn't being treated in the way I would like. I was very outgoing but very annoying. If someone wouldn't tell me the answer, I would pester them over and over again until they'd finally just say, "Oh, shut up, you're so annoying," which then I would take personally and think that they were doing this to me and causing me to feel this way, although of course it was my actions that were doing this. I would argue with people and be determined to prove that I was right. But in hindsight, looking back about the things that I would argue about, I was completely wrong. But my ego just would not let me say that I was wrong and allow the other person to almost have one over on me in my own head. That's the way I used to think. So this caused a lot of isolation, a lot of frustration, and of course I thought it was everyone else that was the problem and it wasn't me whatsoever. How could it have been my fault? I was just doing the best I could and wanted people to like me. How naive, eh? So as I left school, I made friends and got on with life a bit more, started to change my personality, updated, and I went travelling, met new people, went through all these different experiences and really grew as a person. And now I'm in a position where I've got an abundant life. I do lots of varied things. I have great friends in my life. I'm always meeting new people. People even come to me for advice now. And it's just such a different place to how it used to be. And the future is exciting now, whereas the future just used to be terrifying and overwhelming. So some of the things that really helped me to make these changes were that I started to live life more authentically. Instead of sitting at home worrying about all the things that could go wrong, I decided that I was just going to go and live life. I had extreme social anxiety at one point because of the way that I'd been treated in my life, and meeting new people was terrifying for me. But the more I did it, the more I overcame it, the better it felt, the easier it became, and the better my skills got. So here are 5 tips that will help you to improve your social skills, to meet more people, and to live with more abundance and more joy in your life. So firstly, you need to have the correct belief system. Our belief systems dictate everything in our lives. If you believe you can't do something, you'll never even try. If you believe that people don't like you, then you'll remember all the instances of people not being nice to you. But if you think that people like you, you'll remember the times that they've been nice to you. You'll have good memories of people, and you'll naturally be more engaging and happy. You'll pay more attention to people, and people love talking about themselves. So even if at the moment you don't feel like everyone likes you and that you can make friends easily, you can at least take action as if that was true. Start smiling more, start paying attention to people. Instead of waiting for your turn to talk, learn to listen. And that is the second point. People's favourite topic is themselves. So instead of talking about yourself, the ego tells you that, oh, I did that as well. I know what you're talking about. Let me tell you my story. Learn to listen. When someone says that they have an interest in dancing, instead of immediately jumping in and saying about how the one time you went dancing and it didn't work out and blah, 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 find out what interests them about it. What do they like about dancing? How did they feel when they first started? Were they scared? How have they come on since? What's their mindset like now? This gets people talking. And as I said, people love talking about themselves, and people love talking to people who will actually listen to what they say and pay interest in them. Third, a difficult one for me to learn. It took a long while because of that defense mechanism I had. But don't criticize people. If you criticize someone, it will make them defensive and it will give them a bad taste in their mouth. And then they will associate that feeling with you. So then naturally, they won't want to spend time with you. You don't have to prove people wrong. You don't have to give them advice and tell them how they can be better. You can just let people live their lives and come to their own conclusions, their own lessons. This is their life to grow. So that is extremely important. If you can encourage instead of criticize, if you can be included in what they're doing, if instead of criticizing them and telling them they won't work or that's not a good idea or why would you even try that, be part of their journey, be supportive. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that they don't like it. The fourth point I want to make was stop taking things personally. If you take things personally, then it causes real tension. If you can learn to laugh at yourself, and if someone makes a comment about you and you don't start an argument and you decide that your life is going to be drama free, you're easygoing and it's easy to spend time with you and get along with you, that means that people want to be around you. If someone makes a comment which may not even be intended as an offence and you go off the handle and explain why that you're wrong and why I'm right and they shouldn't say things like this because that makes you feel bad, and that's just someone that people don't want to be around with. Someone who's always complaining and negative, that's just no fun to be around with. So instead, laugh it off. If someone says something to you which you don't like, you can have an inner dialogue which just says, oh well, I'm doing my best, I did the best I could then, I love myself. And this is just the basis of self-esteem. And people like being around people with self-esteem because they're easy to be around. They don't get offended. They look for the good in life rather than always dwelling on the negative. And that is a sort of person that actually inspires people. And that is where it brings us to our fifth point. Do you have a life which inspires you? Do you have lots of different things you're doing? If you've got lots of interests, then you're an interesting person. Do you have things that you can talk about? Do you sit at home all day playing computer games? Or do you go to all these different clubs, meet these different people? Do you have a life which people would like to be involved in, because there's one thing that people really are looking towards is leaders. If you can help someone by being an example of what life can be like, that inspires them as well. Do you think the majority of people have an abundant social life and wouldn't like more friends? Of course not. They would love that, but the issue is that they maybe never get invited places. So if you go to all these different clubs and you meet someone at a club who becomes a friend, you can then say, oh, come to this place with me. Let's do this thing instead. And some may say yes, some may say no, but that's when you get to know the people that you really get along with and the people that are just acquaintances. But you give them the option. But if you don't have anything going on in your life, then there is nothing to invite people to, and you're just sitting there hoping that one day someone else invites you to go and do this and to help you build your life, whereas you can take responsibility for this and build a life of abundance and bring other people along on the journey. And that's the final point, though, is that you do have to build this social muscle. It's like anything, training in the gym. Muscles need to be built. It's not productive to sit there and think, this is too big, the issue is completely out of my control, I'm at home a lot, I don't have all these connections, all these great friends. So start building them, even if it just means saying hello to people as you walk down the street, asking someone about their dog when you're in the park, starting a conversation with shopkeepers, the checkout people, whoever it may be. Just start talking to people and pay interest in their life, and you'll be surprised at the responses you get. And this builds momentum, and then you can do bigger and bigger things. Maybe then you feel confident enough to go and join that club which you wanted to join but were too scared to do so. Then you realise that people there are very nice, and that gives you more encouragement, so you go somewhere else and do something else, and then eventually the snowball picks up momentum, gets bigger and bigger, and then you look back at yourself a year ago and life has changed completely. So that is a short snippet on making your life a little more enjoyable and bringing some great people into it. So thank you for listening today, and if you would like to work with me personally one-on-one, if my story has felt relevant to you and you feel like you could benefit from working with me, hop over to my website